A failure to comply with sanctions legislation can constitute a criminal offence subject to fines and imprisonment. The Office of Financial Sanctions Implementation, or OFSI, is the UK sanctions enforcer. OFSI has the power to impose civil penalties of up to £1 million or 50% of the value of the breach, whichever is higher. To date, this has been OFSI's favoured method of enforcement. Under previous sanctions legislation, OFSI could not impose a monetary penalty on a corporate or individual unless OFSI was satisfied on the balance of probabilities that the person knew or had reasonable cause to suspect that their conduct breached a financial sanction or that they failed to comply with their obligations under the regime. But under the Act, the knowledge requirement has been replaced by strict liability. And what that means is a person's intent or knowledge surrounding the breach is irrelevant to the question of whether OFSI has the power to impose a civil monetary penalty. The new test is more closely aligned to the US model, which means you're likely to see businesses being fined because OFSI no longer has to show knowledge. Knowledge is still important in criminal cases and can amount to a defence, in particular if you do not know or couldn't have suspected any sanctioned breach. However, it will not be enough if a civil fine is imposed on you. In my view, this means you will see an increased activity of civil enforcement towards companies and individuals. It seems to me there is now likely to be an increased risk of reputational damage for businesses in breach of financial sanctions. I say this because OFSI already has the power to publish details of any monetary penalties that have been imposed. In fact, under the new Act, OFSI can actually publicly name and shame entities or individuals it believes has breached sanctions, even where a fine has not been imposed. Now, at a time of heightened sensitivity around corporate affiliations with Russia, this would obviously be welcomed publicity.